The truth about female desire has put 8 women's sex lives under the microscope. For the next 4 programmes, we'll be observing them as they take part in a series of experiments led by the world's leading sexual scientists, designed to unravel the mysteries of female sexuality. 8 women have travelled from all over Britain to take part in this study. For one whole week, they'll leave their normal everyday lives behind them and concentrate on just one thing: sex.
So do you have ginger pubes as well? Of course. Do you shave or do you let them grow?
I know you're asking me that.
Put dreadlocks in? I'm just kidding. You got me into this.
Straight, gay, bi, looking for love, married with kids, single, settled and swinging. These very different but very normal women have agreed to surrender their bodies and minds to science.
Hey, I feel like I'm back at boarding school now.
The truth about female desire has gathered together a veritable A-team of sex researchers from all over the world. This is the first time they've been given the opportunity to join forces and study the same group of women over an intense period. They'll take blood and hormones, administer powerful drugs, test brains and probe vaginas, premiering new techniques and theories to the scientific community and the world at large. The results will give new insight into the complexities of all women's sexuality.
Oh, wow!
All scientific tests will take place in a specially designed lab. We also want to know what women think about sex. The key element to this study is to actually listen to what they have to say. Next door to the lab is the common room, where between experiments, the women can kick back, relax and swap stories.
An experiment.
Lots of dirty fun.
Yeah, lots of dirty fun. Okay, in the name of science.
Who's faked it?
I'd faked it, but not with my current partner.
But I'm 23 and I've never had a one-night stand. Every guy that I've had sex with has become a long-term relationship.
I would really like to know what it's like to feel so horny or so out of control.
It would be getting close and I'd be like scared because it would always get in my eyes and hair.
Can you not just swallow it?
Swallowing was a problem because it would come out so fast. I would literally gag. I've never had a gagging problem.
The lesbian sex is very, very selfless. When you have sex with someone, it's all about the other person. You don't get anything from it. When a guy sleeps with you, you get something from it and he gets something from it.
No, very, very rarely.
Well,
we got it on, had sex. It kind of ended up me on top. Basically laying on the bed was the biggest turd you've ever seen in your entire life.
In what area? What area?
I mean, this thing was physically impossible that it could have ever come out of anyone. It was so big.
Overseeing the whole event is the granddaddy of sex research, Dr. John Bancroft.
Overall, there's been much less research done on the sexuality of women than of men.
As director of the Kinsey Institute, the world-famous original centre for sex research, Dr. Bancroft has devoted his life to sex.
I think it's going to be very interesting. The idea of having 8 women together for that period of time. Yeah.
John is joined by fellow Kinsey scientists, Cynthia Graham and Eric Jansen.
It's great that you're taking part in this programme. As scientists and researchers that the 3 of us are, we're very conscious of how controversial and how topical the issue of women's sexuality is at the moment. So it's a relatively recent change. A lot of attention is being paid, which really tells us that we don't understand very much about women's sexuality. Yes. Not even women understand very much about women's sexuality.
We hope that in the course of the week you're going to learn a lot about your own sexuality and have some of your questions answered. And we all have questions. I have questions. And so this week will be something that you'll really get a lot out of as well.
This first episode starts with the body. How do women work and how does our particular genital geography affect our sexuality? Astonishingly, science is still a long way from piecing together the basics of the female body. Take the clitoris, the major source of sexual pleasure for women, and yet it was only very recently discovered that it's 9 centimetres long. Sex therapist Dee McDonald gives the girls the good news.
But the clitoris is kind of difficult to see because you're only seeing what we call the glands of the clitoris, which is the tip. Which is kind of, it's kind of similar to the tip of a penis, I suppose, which you kind of see, it's easier to see because it's out. But inside, I'm going to do a demonstration. I was trying to do this. If you imagine your head is the glands of the...
I did, I thought you were going to do a demonstration.
No, just imagine my head is that. And my arms are like what we call the crews of the clitoris. They actually go back. They're like arms that go back and around. They go around behind your urethra and around your vagina. So in fact, your urethra and vagina is all surrounded by the clitoris, which is great. So that's why, I don't know, I mean, if you've ever felt, sometimes if you're aroused, you might feel that inside there's something much more going on. This research was really found in 1998. It was first written up about how big the clitoris really was.
The recent revelation about the size of the clitoris came from dissecting dead Australian pensioners. As yet, no research has been done on actual living women. Until now. Enter Dr. Deng, who wants to map out the clitoris. His pioneering work with 3D ultrasound has enabled him to look inside lips as they kiss and peer inside the penis. These pictures reveal how the nerves and tissue fit together, which is vital for surgeons. His images of the clitoris could prevent women being hacked away at during hysterectomies and then left completely numb afterwards.
Hi. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. Welcome, Dr. Jane Deng.
Deng knows the size and structure of the clitoris, but his mission is to find out what changes occur during arousal.
But thank you anyway for coming. You are so brave. Okay.
Getting turned on in a pool while a man takes pictures of your clitoris from behind a curtain is definitely unusual. But Amy is no stranger to sex in odd places.
I was on a bus going home, and our bus broke down in the middle of nowhere. And we were, like, really bored. And we were just kind of like, we'd been getting kind of, you know, snuggly as it was. And basically I started getting really turned on, started, like, you know, playing with him. And then he bent down and started basically going down on me. And the way the bus driver was, like, the two people at the back were speaking to each other at a time in full-on conversation, and the bus driver was speaking to me through his mirror. But you could tell that he couldn't see anything else. So I was there going, it's such a shame. It's taking a long time for them to get here. Oh my God, kind of thing. And it was a nightmare. But that was a very, very good, yes.
Bravo.
Yes. It was while speaking to the bus driver. You know, motorways have big bridges that cars go under.
Bent over one of them?
No, there's...
When I've never thought
right
I'm going to have to add that to my list.
Underneath the motorway bridge, there's, like, usually slopes.
Oh, yeah.
On there, and then all the cars driving by beeping us.
That's so
That's
cool.
quite cool.
The experiment must take place in water, as ultrasound waves can't travel through air. The women are wired up and handed the ultrasound probe. This first stage of the experiment involves capturing baseline images of the clitoris at rest.
This is the probe. What I'd like us to do is if you just tip it up onto your clitoris, and we're going to just see when we can get a good image. So you may have to move it around just a little bit. Okay.
So you can put the probe into the water.
If you put the
now.
probe in the water now.
Yes, yeah, and close to your clitoris.
Bring it close.
And just imagine that's the camera. Yeah, it's roughly there now.
If you just imagine that the camera is the...
Yeah, move slightly away.
All Deng has to do is find the clitoris and the experiment can begin.
And if you move a little bit up or down.
Easier said than done.
Rotate the probe 90 degrees.
90 degrees to the left or the right?
Doesn't matter.
Okay,
just
90
rotate.
degrees in one direction.
Too much close. Just get back. That's perfect. Just hold there. That's brilliant. I think we got enough baseline now, so we can stop here. Okay. And you can withdraw the probe from the. Okay, so roughly then.
Okay. It was only 6 years ago that scientists discovered that the clitoris has long arms that wrap around the vagina, but nobody knows how it works. In this first experiment, Dr. Deng is going to try and capture the first ever internal images of the clitoris during arousal.
If you'd like to just start arousing yourself.
To do so, Hannah and Amy have bravely volunteered to arouse themselves in a specially constructed lab. It's a tough job to get turned on in a laboratory.
I'm sorry, I'm just so particular.
Yep.
But in the name of science, somebody's got to do it.
I have this like ongoing joke with my partner. He's never caught me masturbating ever, and he's just like he cannot believe he hasn't caught me. So like, I do all these, and I wouldn't mind if he caught me. It would be no big deal. I've even done stupid things like left my vibrator going in the front room and gone into the bedroom to see if I can hear it. My partner bought me some remote control vibrating knickers.
Really?
We went out one night and he was like, "Oh, go on, wear the vibrating knickers." Okay. I went up to the bar to order some drinks when we first walked in there, and he turned it on. And I dropped a tray of drinks everywhere. And every time I'd stand up, he'd turn them on, I'd just be like... Yeah, but that's not the worst of it. And I had a bit of a go of him. I said, look, you know, it's all fine using these. I mean, they're great, but use it when I'm sat down and I'm not carrying shit, you know what I mean? But the worst one is when we got in the taxi to go into town from the restaurant, he turned it on in a taxi and there was interference on the radio. But the taxi man was like, "What's that interference on my radio?" And I'm sat in the back going, "I don't know."
Back in the lab, it's time for the ladies to get down to business. How was it for you, Amy?
Was the water freezing cold for you?
Water was freezing cold. My leg's going like this. And I've got my leg up like this because I needed something to push back on. And I'm like, right, OK, get to this point, get to this point. Right, I'm ready. OK. Then they run in and they're like going, oh, and then they pass you the probe.
Yes,
and
that's
then
the worst bit because you're really about to get there and then you have to go and hold this probe.
And then you're just going, oh,
I'm so glad it went.
OK. Quick. Then you have to, with your vibrator and the probe.
Come close. Put close to the probe.
To you,
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah. Okay.
And then he's going, closer, close, bring the probe closer, further.
And then it beeps me.
And move the probe towards the parts, clitoris.
Move it onto your clitoris, the probe.
Yeah, too close. Just coming back a little bit.
Exactly.
Back a little bit. Okay, that's right. You can move to one side to see which side you move. The other side, sorry.
This side?
Okay, that's brilliant. And keep going that way.
Further over?
Okay. Move. Okay, that's all right. The clitoris towards the probe.
With the probe closer to clitoris.
And just slightly closer.
The thing is, you have to move it backwards and forwards and up and down whilst you're climaxing.
And you'll have to use it as well.
Yeah.
And you climax.
Yeah, and so
That's
you're trying to,
multitasking.
They'd asked me to turn it 90 degrees and I was like, look, I failed maths.
Turn the probe 90 degree. Rotate. Someone else.
do it with that in my hand.
Okay.
Did he get you to different speeds? He was like, go from left to right, like take 5 seconds, and I'm like, climax 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It was impossible.
Oh, that's too fast. It's very difficult for you to hold that position.
No, it's okay. I just thought we were doing it faster than last time.
Yeah, that's too much. Come back a little bit. Come back a little bit. Yeah. And a little bit up. A little bit down. Let me see where it is. Are you able to? So back to the other side a little bit. Keep going.
Slowly, yeah?
Yeah, that's perfect. Are you able to turn the probe 180 right now? Move a little bit slightly away. Yeah, slightly away.
I didn't actually orgasm while I was here, 77777, and then it was like, oh, it's enough now, and I was like, oh.
Can we just?
Yeah, we'll stop here. We got enough pictures.
We've got enough pictures. Oh, really? That was quick. Would you want to carry on? Yeah. I'm surprised.
Thank you very much. I'll leave you.
Thank you.
Woo!
Yeah, that's nuts.
But it was mad seeing the images.
They're crazy.
Tonight.
3 sets of images were taken at different stages of arousal, from frankly not bothered to yes, to screaming blasphemy. Here you can see the head of Amy's clitoris at rest, beneath the clitoral hood. Once it becomes aroused, however, it fills with blood and increases in volume. By the time Amy came, her clitoris had grown by 33%. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Clitoral tissue extends deep into the pelvis and along the inside of the vaginal lips. These pictures show Hannah's labia double in size during stimulation. It's this influx of blood that increases sensitivity in the region, useful information for surgeons and women.
What was really interesting was to actually see the extent of the clitoris on arousal, to see how much blood flow there was in the area, to see how much congestion there was, because that's something we just absolutely don't get to see, and very little research has been done on that as yet.
Yeah.
And the bright white is what? Is that blood flow or
no, dark area is actually where the blood flow is.
Okay.
And all this tiny bit is actually the spaces for microvessels. When people get arousal or orgasm.
Yeah, when you have an orgasm, it's expanding. It's the blood flow is increasing.
The space much bigger.
Wow.
So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's very big, and compared to the one before the orgasm.
Yeah. Definitely.
So also we can.
So
you can see how it's become much more erect and expanded.
Definitely.
So you can really see from that again how much of the structure is inside.
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? It's huge.
How much of the clitoris is inside?
Yeah, it goes so deep, deep
into the structure.
The composite 3D images are the first ever taken that capture the internal structures of the clitoris. The grey areas are the pelvic bone, and the large red structure is the clitoral body deep inside the pelvis, enveloping the vagina. During sex, this whole structure swells with blood, much like a penis.
How do you feel looking at it like that?
It's very alien-esque. You can't really kind of.
It doesn't look like it feels.
No, yeah, completely. But it's very intriguing, definitely. Well, it's good to meet you.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Better than expected.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
We're pleased.
Thank you.
So women have hard-ons too. It's just that theirs don't shout about it quite so loudly.
Basically, the structure of the clitoris, the little head of the clitoris, which a woman can see and feel, and then the body of the clitoris, which is more hidden underneath, those are basically the same structures that go to make up the penis of the man.
They both develop from the same tissue in the fetus, except the clitoris, like male breasts, has no obvious role in reproduction.
So I think it's one of the bonuses that a woman has. Women end up with a clitoris and the capacity for orgasm, which they don't really need for reproduction. And men end up with nipples, which they don't need for reproduction. And in that respect, I think women got the better deal.
And it just got 9 centimetres better. It's ironic that many women know more about male erections than they do their own, whether they like them or not.
Oh, I love them. I think they're beautiful.
I think that's so unattractive.
Do you find them unattractive? Oh, I think they're beautiful. A big pulsating, veiny one. Yeah, it shows it. It shows it. A big purple throbbing cock. You can't get any better. Hannah, do you agree?
What's that?
A big pulsating cock is not better.
Purple bellends.
I think they're lovely.
I think they are. They get me going. Big pulsating ones.
I think if I like somebody, then I like their appendage. But if I don't,
but if you see
then
somebody,
I'm disgusted by it.
If you see like a man walking around just with like nothing on, I don't find them attractive. But when my boyfriend walks in and he's ready, I'm like, yeah, look at you.
Why don't we all draw the perfect penis?
Are we doing life size?
Yeah. Is the paper big enough for you then?
I don't like big penis.
I don't, neither do I. It's pointless. You can't do anything with them.
And then I can't decide on the circumcised or non-circumcised, Stu.
Circumcised.
Non-circumcised.
I think circumcised is good, but then I think if they're non-circumcised, I don't know.
Circumcised is so much nicer. I've got veins on mine. You know.
Yeah, I think
obviously.
Yeah, I'm getting some big, chunky, fat-ass purple veins on mine. I'm getting hot again now. Mine is going to be called Merger.
That's really cute. Is that the perfect penis?
I want that penis. It's thick edge. That is good, that.
Yeah. Raoul. It's like a lighthouse and then it just goes, you know?
Well, it started off thin.
No, 7.5 inches, it's straight. It can be uncircumcised because it's natural and not huge scrotum. Average size scrotum.
I think Carly wins the prize here. This is a monster bone, okay?
Bloody hell.
Woo! No wonder you will never be with your husband. Oh, sorry.
Oh my god.
Oh, God. That's because you had a baby,
Just moving it slightly, because that's not very big, is it?
Oh my goodness, girl. Oh, you like big balls. I like.
But of course, the male erection stands proud outside a man's body, proclaiming the kind of mood he's in to whoever's interested. Women's vaginas are more secretive and significantly more taboo. The truth about female desire has given 8 women the chance to get straight scientific answers to all their sexual questions. So far, they've discovered that the clitoris is enormous and fills with blood when aroused. But what effect does this hidden hard-on have on female sexual development?
I think a woman becomes more aware of her genital responses as she develops sexually, and that's one of the reasons why I believe that learning of different sexual patterns in early sexual development important.
But I used to have dreams.
But what do our women remember about those early forays into their sexuality?
I was a big horse rider. I think that makes a big... I think that plays a big part with young girls from you'll start riding, what, I must have been about 6, 7.
3.
Ride, yeah, or probably younger stuff, but when it got to about 10 or 11, bit of rising trot, and you're just thinking, hang on, what is going on here? And I think, but then I think younger again, I remember maybe not actually sexually arousing myself, but having Barbie dolls and going,
Oh my gosh, we used to play Barbie nudist camp all the time. Then my mom would come in and would be frantically trying to dress them, right? Frantically. And they were all like, this mummy's gonna go with that daddy. It was terrible.
But like swapping the lot.
Yeah, ours too. Kids are so smart. And I was 7 when we did that.
It's like I went to boarding school from the age of sort of 7.5, 8, and it was all girls up until I was 18. And it's kind of, I think it's a situation, really. Had I been in a mixed school from the age of 7, I think you're a lot more aware of it.
I'm not talking about that. I mean, I'm talking about just being a little girl and noticing that things feel good, like sitting on the edge of the couch and wiggling and sitting in the middle of the car and going on bumpy roads. Like, did you ever have any of those?
11.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Being 11.
I remember being in bed and just like the duvet kind of rubbing against me and me being ultra sensitive and then kind of rubbing myself against it. And I was only 9 and I was like, you know, it was really kind of strange because I wasn't quite sure what it was all about, but I knew it felt good.
I stuck a Lego brick up my bum when I was 3 and had to have that taken out. But I don't think that was sexual. I was just playing with Lego and happened to be exploring and, like, you know.
And as you do.
As you do, but yeah, I really wouldn't say that was like my first bit of...
Let's hope not.
It might have explained my, complete aversion to anything anal.
Oh, you and me both.
So unnecessary.
See, I remember my mum trying to sit me down and explain like the facts of life to me. I was like, Mum, I already know all about this. I was kind of like, just like really being really embarrassed and like, kind of stomping out of the room.
No, my parents are very traditional. They never spoke about sex.
I think surprisingly, because there's so much sex out there everywhere in the media, there's still a lack of information on the things that women often most want to know. Basic questions.
When you're younger, and well, I wasn't that young, I was like 16, 17, you're feeling about and you're experimenting and stuff. And I found a lump, okay? So he goes down to the gynecologist and he's like, oh, I've heard you found a lump, is everything all right? And I was like, well, no, I want you to check it out. And he's like, absolutely fine. And he's like, so whereabouts was it? I was like, oh, just about there, a little bit further up and to your left. And he went, that's your cervix. What? My cervix.
What were you doing?
Done. Having just a fiddle. Just experimenting, and I thought that it was a lump.
No, I've done
and it was my cervix.
Yeah.
And now in all my doctor's notes, Julie came to the hospital because she thought she found a lump. In fact, it was her cervix, so nothing more. And it's just like, oh my God.
I think there's still a lack of understanding about, knowledge about one's anatomy. That women still really could benefit from knowing more about their own bodies.
Some have more questions than others.
If you're with somebody who's well endowed, can that like damage you permanently or change your size? I know I'm really no.
You mean change your size?
Yeah, if you're with somebody who's really no.
Not change your size. Was it really painful?
When they did all that research, did they ever do any size surveys? I'm so fascinated by that.
Kinsey did that.
What about depth? Because a lot of times I've had hitting at the back that it hurts.
Exactly. It hurts.
But if I'm aroused, I can almost think it's okay. And then later I'm like, oh, am I damaging myself? Is that really bad to do? Or is it okay?
It's not really bad. But it's the cervix that you'll be, I'm pretty sure, what you're
And that
feeling.
gets pulled up during sexual arousal.
Yeah.
What
does it? What's the causes the pain?
Yeah.
Well, you're hitting the
And,
cervix.
so you're not
But you're not causing any permanent
Unless you have a...
damage.
What
We haven't had sex for a lot. Yeah. When he hits like, it actually
really
hurts.
yeah.
But then you don't want, want to stop because you're enjoying it. So it's like I'll just go through the pain. Go on.
I know. Yeah. And then
you might be sore afterwards.
Yeah, you are. You
But it's
ache
not causing any
inside.
permanent damage, for sure. We can be rest assured.
It's that dull ache that we all know and love.
Yeah.
So the pain's worthwhile then, yeah?
I was reading this novel and there's a graphic description of the aging vagina. Does it age and what happens? And I just am like, isn't that terrible? But I'm just...
It does. The changes with aging happen, but they're often really portrayed in a very negative way. And I've been
this
reading
book is by a man, of course.
Right. I've been reading even about the. So
Traumatizing.
what happens is around menopause, because declining levels of estrogen, you do get thinning of the vaginal wall. But the words they use in the medical profession really make you think you're going to sort of shrivel up and wither away. You know, they talk about atrophy, is the sort of medical term, atrophied vagina. And one of the other things a lot of women don't know is if you have regular sexual activity, you're less likely to have any of those problems. So your vaginal wall is likely to say, so use it or lose it idea.
I was on the internet and there's this website with a picture of what your vagina should look like. And it was like, yeah, if you're 5, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And you know, like all these women are going on that site going, oh my gosh, I have to have surgery.
And the scary thing is, for most women, and researchers included, we don't really know what many other women's vulvas look like.
I know.
So, you know, you can really be seduced by the
sure.
idea that this is the perfect image of what I should look like. And if my genitals don't look like this, maybe I should think about surgery. Maybe it would be more attractive.
For dessert, the women are going to cast their vulvas in plaster. Previous studies have shown that the majority of women can spot a bargain at 100 yards, but don't recognise their own vaginas. Is it because they all look the same, or is it because they've never bothered looking?
I mean, I know what it looks like in the mirror. It looks like a big kebab. I don't know what it looks like in a cast.
It's a thick layer of grease or a free wax job, and no one's taking any chances.
Everyone stuck their fingers in this. I think there's a pube in that one. Oh, not inside.
No, not inside, because otherwise it will take the place of your actual skin and it won't come
Oh,
out.
so you'll have like a lumpy...
Yeah. Yes.
A lumpy looking vagina. That's great.
Yeah.
That's all I need. I'm worried enough as it is.
I'm actually really looking forward to it. It'd be nice to have something to take home with me.
To put on your mantelpiece. Yeah.
Absolutely. Look what I made, Mum, at school today.
How do I know it's gonna get in there?
Well, you should feel...
Feel what? Yeah, is that enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
Ah! Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Just sit down on it.
Yeah.
This is too funny. It's like when you're a kid and you have your hands down your pants all the time.
Do you?
Oh, well, I mean, no. No?
Give it another
But now I
5
feel like it's gonna
seconds.
be gaping, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm sitting like this. But other girls did this. But I don't want it to be, like, different, or... I don't want to have the biggest one.
I'm sure you won't. Although...
How do you know?
Okay, pull away gently. Let's see if it's worked this time. Oh, that's a really bizarre but strange and nice feeling. Oh no, it's taken half my fanny with it.
Wow.
Is that all right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Woo! I think I have a bit of a bum there. Oh my God, okay. You cannot, that is so... Oh my God, you can... That is so uglier.
Just a strange object.
Yeah. You expect it there too. Is that what other people's look like?
With all of them, they're all completely different. There's no norm. I think
You
that's
have
much
my
better.
bum. You can't do that. You have to cut that off. Cut it off. Oh my God, you know what it looks like? It looks like one of those fish, like the stingrays, like... Hi. Okay, where's my bum? Oh my God, I'm taking this with me. You cannot have this. This is so embarrassing.
The casts are dry and ready for inspection. But will they know whose is whose?
Match the snatch.
Let's whip it off.
Slowly. Oh,
Okay, I know which one is. I know which one's mine.
That's yours.
Oh no, maybe I don't.
You lay them down.
Oh my God, they
all look alike.
Pubic hair on that.
It might be. That one, either that one or that one's.
Guys, this one has a hair still on it.
Oh, that was a big slit. Whose is that one?
Who else? Well, this could be. This
Has anyone
Abby,
not
is
picked
it?
one?
No, this is me. I'm really hooded, so it's either that one or this one. I can't see
Mate, my fanny.
I'm going to whack down there, but even though I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's me, it's gotta be.
Congratulations.
Everyone gets it right except flatmates Emma and Charlie, who get theirs muddled up.
Is meant to be Emma.
I don't think it is.
Right, Emma.
It might be me.
Who is this?
No, I'm not sure.
I know.
Right.
These are weird.
I'm gonna have to buy you one of those hand mirrors so you can have a good sunset.
But in the end, everyone's a winner.
Oh, let's all stroke our badges.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Oh no, maybe I'm
Masturbating orgy.
Oh, it feels really weird, doesn't it?
It looks a little bit like a flower, doesn't it?
Someone else's.
I think
Mine looks like a lovebird.
So funny.
I think mine just looks really small and kind of don't really have any.
Got a few
oomph.
got
It
some
doesn't have- it hasn't got any
you got a few
build.
wrinkles
right in,
already.
that's
You want to get some Botox for that?
But you know, some people have, you know, like a really big hump to the top there, and I've got one, you know.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
No, not on the clitoris. I mean on the actual,
you're like
on the
me.
actual
I've got
top.
quite a big hood, to
Yeah,
be honest.
but
and
that's
that's
what
what that is right
And that's
there.
where my piercing goes
Yeah.
right through
Yeah.
there.
So I've got a quite a long head.
My
Oh,
piercing
yeah.
goes through up here and comes out here.
Oh, yeah.
So then, like, if you can imagine if the clitoris is just here and you aim for sort of on the piercing, you X marks the spot. You should do it.
Stop staring.
It is kind of good. I feel so much better. This is the one thing I was most worried about.
Okay, the casting. But
Yeah, because I don't know. I had no idea what my like size or shape would be. I mean, you can look at it, but
like with a mirror,
But of course, the vagina isn't the only focus of female arousal. Let's not forget the brain. What effect does all this anatomical ignorance have on a woman's perception of when she thinks she feels really, truly horny? Eric Janssen has flown over from the Kinsey Institute in the States to find out which of our women's vulvas and brains are in sync.
How do you know then? How do you know when you're sexually aroused?
There's a definite transmission. You get feelings down there and then you start,
Oh, I think...
It's kind of subconscious.
Yeah, you get tingly, definitely.
But does the body never surprise you, feel something like that, or that you maybe even lubricated, but you didn't really realise what was going on?
I've been there.
Do you know what, though? It's like when you get your pap smear done and there's a speculum, I'm always, like, thinking... I'm not gonna, this is not enjoyable, this is terrible, and think bad thoughts, but I get all gushy and then I'm always totally embarrassed. It's like, it does something to me. I mean, mentally I'm like not thinking, ooh, this is exciting, but definitely there's lubrication that really happens. I think it's the penetration thing of the speculum. And it's always, I'm always like, please do not let it happen again, please. And they pull it out and I feel the liquid coming out. I'm like, oh my God! I just hate it. But my doctor is so nice. She said, no, it's because we lubricated a little before we put it in. I'm like, you're right.
A woman is going to be less aware of her genital response than a man, because for the man, from a relatively early age, he has this structure in front of him which bobs up and is very clearly affected by the situation, and therefore he's got very clear signals that I am sexually aroused. For the woman, the changes in the genitalia are relatively hidden. She may be aware of them, or she may not. Women vary in how aware they are of that, I think.
So far, the women have discovered that when they're physically turned on, a rush of blood to the loins gives them their own private erections. There are, of course, two places that women become aroused, the other being the brain, and they don't always respond to the same material. In the last experiment for today, Eric Janssen has set up the lab to probe both the women's mental and physical sexual response and test whether they're in sync. The women must use a lever to indicate their reported arousal. Their heads may be saying yes, 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 but what are their vaginas saying? Their physical arousal is detected by changes in blood flow, measured by a vaginal probe, a kind of arousal lie detector. But how is Eric going to turn these women on? Well, he's treating them to the Kinsey's finest pornography, all in the name of science.
We just started the sexual film clip. The signal that you see here, the VPA, or the vaginal pulse amplitude signal, is also represented in the red bar. The black bar shows the signal that is seen here, and that shows the lever that she is not using at this moment.
On the bill this afternoon are two highly rated pornos with a neutral film to calm the girls down between these sexy sessions. In a Kinsey survey, the first clip, a romantic tale of hot sex in a gazebo, was voted women's top turn-on. The second, chosen by men, features an older man having the time of his life with a busty young nymphette. But which of these clips will our women prefer, and will their bodies and minds choose the same one?
In men, we know that the relationship between what men report feeling in terms of sexual arousal and what we measure in their penis, the degree of erection, is often quite strong. So it is quite in agreement usually. In women, the relationship between the physiology and what they experience is much more variable.
So it's official. Men think with their dicks. But do any of our women think with their clits?
I get a rude text message off my boyfriend or something like that, I get like, sir, especially if it's in the car driving up or something, and I'm literally retching in my, like, driving at like 90 miles an hour. Absolutely just cannot wait to see him, like butterflies in my stomach. Not wait to see him, wait to actually go and have sex with him. Just from like a little text message. You can be sat in the cinema, and I'll be sat there and just watching the trailers or something, and I'll be going, God, I really, really just want to have sex right now. And I like say to my boyfriend, come on, let's go and have sex. And he's like, what? We're just watching a film. What are you talking about? And I'm like, no, come on, we quickly go. We're back to the film. And he's like, are you actually joking? I'm like, no. And I just, all of a sudden, in my head, I'll go, right, now I'm with you. I want to have sex now. Yeah.
How will Julie rate the porn?
The lever is going up more, so it seems in comparison to other film clips that she has been presented with, that she feels the most sexually aroused during this specific clip.
I've loved my husband forever, you know, from in school, and, you know, our parents grew up together, and, you know, I've known him from a distance for a long, long time, since probably he was that high, that sort of thing. My husband's got probably a high sex drive and I've got a low. If it doesn't happen, it's all good with me. I enjoy sex, but it's not, you know,
paramount.
You know, it's not, you know, we can just kiss and say goodnight and that'll be fine.
Yeah.
The lever's going up for Carleen. Looks like something has tickled her fancy.
There's an increase in blood flow in the vagina. This is pretty substantial. Seems like it's finally getting to relax. It's the end of the day.
Is that it?
The results from the probe and the lever have to be sent to the Kinsey Institute for analysis before conclusions can be drawn.
Thank you very, very much.
No, thank you very, very much.
I enjoyed that.
We'll tidy up.
There'll be no more porn for today.
I will admit, I love porn. I think it's great. I had the internet in my room on my laptop, and there'd be like all these different porns like into my hard drive that all like my housemates had just been sat there like downloading. So every time I came back from uni, I was like, oh, what have they got now? Let's just have a look. Brilliant. Oh, I like this one, guys. Cheers. It was just packed with porn. It was just disgraceful.
I'm not into porn, but if I have to watch it, I think I'd rather watch two men go at it.
Really? Definitely.
Yeah. I find watching men and women go at it makes me feel like just like giving up sex completely just grosses me out.
I don't know. I remember I had this boyfriend once, and he had this one porn called Bouncing British Babes. And he wanted to put it in every single time we had sex, and it was like, oh, and it got to the point where it would turn me off. I'd be like, as soon as I heard it begin, I'd be like, hey, nothing. It was like over.
Julie may love porn, but it's not necessarily a sexual thing for her. Well, not in her mind, that is.
Women could sit around and watch porn together and have a giggle, and that was all it would be. But men would end up putting a cushion there because they can't control it. Even though they're trying to look as if they're having a laugh or whatever, they can't actually control their emotions, and they would actually.
They'd be embarrassed because they'd be sat there with a big teepee.
Walk on.
Can Julie control her body with her mind, or does her body have a mind of its own?
Yeah.
So, did Eric's porn make their vaginal pulses race?
The film clip that you saw yesterday with the man and the younger girl was one of the favorites of men.
Yeah, that was really
Was pre-selected by men.
Does not surprise me.
I thought it was disgusting. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I thought she looked too young, and then I
feel like she was gonna pass out when she had that dick in the side of her cheek.
And he was just horrible.
He was just like a
And the other one, with the gazebo, the outdoor scene was the favorite of women.
Yeah.
Because it's got the whole romantic side of it.
That one was
Pre-selected
good.
by women. So we're comparing a male and a female selected film clip, really. We want to see what we found?
Yes.
Then we start with Julie.
Whoa.
This is so cool.
So we start with the lever. Okay.
The red line represents the female selected clip, the blue line the male selected clip. It's a close call, but the red line is just higher than the blue. Julie was mentally more turned on by the romance than the hardcore action.
Now here's your VPA, or your vaginal
But her vaginal pulse tells a different story.
Well, what you see here is that that film clip, at least in terms of your genital...
Look how up and down I am.
Yeah, but in terms of your genital response, the film clip with the older man and the younger girl
Look how high
was a
that
bit
is.
higher from the beginning already.
The blue male line is now clearly above the red female line. So Julie's mind went for the romantic tryst, but her body the triple X action.
I thought it was. I didn't feel
that. From the measure, I didn't feel, as you can see from what I thought I was turned on, I didn't feel that aroused by it. But obviously my body was saying to me, no, you are aroused, and...
To some degree, yeah.
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 It was the same story for the rest of the group, who were all shocked to discover that their minds and bodies are not in sync.
I really want to know what this bit here is.
Yeah.
You want to do that bit again?
Yeah, I want to see it again and again and again and again.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's around the time that she gives him oral sex, though.
All except Carleen.
You're next.
Okay. Now we get interesting.
Carleen was alone in mentally preferring the male-selected porn.
This girl's full of surprises. It's like when she drew the penis. It's like, I'm not buying it anymore.
And you went up pretty high to 70%.
The lever. I think the lever. When I remember the lever, I think for that particular clip, that the old guy, and whatever, all I could think of was myself, my husband, and that's when I raised it, because I think, oh, I get that all the time. That was just Friday, sort of thing. So it was okay. Yeah. So I didn't really see the old man and the young girl. I saw, oh, I get that done to me.
Now come on, let's see the other one.
Come on, let's get to the chase. Yes, let's see what.
Let's just say that you're the only one who was totally in sync.
Carleen was the only woman whose physical response mirrored her subjective.
So you also had the strongest genital response to that clip.
But Carleen didn't so much as watch the porn as place herself in the lead role.
The porn, it was about myself. So yeah, it was. Yeah, because I could see my husband's head. That's the thing. That was it for me.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, oh, I get that done to me. So I probably know a lot more than I think I do. Or my life isn't as boring as I think it is.
Do you expect this result?
To be honest, I didn't necessarily expect to be so clear.
Really?
Yeah. I think they're nice illustrations for how we differ, how we can vary.
Oh, great study. That's really good. That's really interesting.
So there you have it. A woman may not be able to control what's going on in her pants, but it has little influence on what's going on in her mind. Women really are more complicated than men.
The fact that genital response is not so central to a woman's sexual experience, I think results in women focusing on other aspects of sexuality, attaching more importance to them, being more open to a range of influences.
Over the rest of the series, we'll take a look at what those influences are. We'll start with looking at the evolutionary forces that make us fancy the pants off someone.
Wouldn't it be terrible though, somebody's boyfriend?
Get ready for that tomorrow night at 11:05 on 4. Coming up, Pillow Talk in 35 minutes, a romantic comedy offering from new talent about the fallout from talking in your sleep. After a look back at a weekend of wonder and today at the test next.